Everyone, welcome back to my channel. It is Krista here to do the extended monthly forecast for Gemini, Sun, Moon, and Rising signs. This is for the month of June 2018. And I'm going to be using another spread today, so should be interesting. I really do like challenging myself to learn different reading techniques. So we'll be using 8 cards today, and the theme is Secrets Revealed. So the first 4 cards in the top row will be things that you're already aware of, or things that are on the surface, that are already occurring or already underway. And then the bottom 4 cards, the bottom row, is what's underneath, what's the mystery. What is information that you haven't tapped into yet, or solutions, or even individuals or concepts that you could use to your advantage. So this is a general reading for Gemini for June 2018. Whatever's most pressing as a concern or issue for you this month is what I intend for this to be helpful and healing for. So within that shuffling, I did concentrate on what you need to hear for this month. Let's get your 8 cards out. I won't be looking too deeply into the bottom of the deck energy, but I do like looking at it just briefly. The 7 of Swords. So we could be looking at trying to get away with something here. A slippery slope. A clash of ideas where someone is tricking the other, or trying to deceive somebody here. It's not, caustic energy. It's not terrible energy. It's just something to be aware of that could be happening within the month of June around these themes. So let's get your cards out for you. I also want to say happy birthday to all my Gemini viewers for the month of June. You have so much to look forward to, Gemini. I really see something under the surface here for you that, you might be overlooking, that as soon as I say it, it'll be really obvious. And you might even say, while I'm explaining it, yeah, that's why I'm avoiding it. So just putting that out there. But I just want you to know that it is available to you. With regard to healing and helping yourself past something, I think this is information that you could use to your advantage that will work out really well for you if you're not busy disputing it or trying to get away from it. Again, I can understand why you would be. That's just what I have a little bit for the snapshot here. Let's get into why I'm saying what I'm saying. Here in your top row, again, we're looking at what is on the surface. What is information or energy that you're probably aware of. This could have to do with a relationship with someone else. It could have to do with the relationship you have with yourself or your business, your goals, your dreams, etc. So apply this information to whatever you find it suits. That's the purpose of a general reading. So just apply to your advantage here. So beginning with the 6 of Water, I do want to point out as well that you do have a lot of water. You have some earth and a little bit of fire here. Basically, elementally speaking, there's a lot of emotional energy here for you, which is where I was saying, you might be trying to avoid this. Okay. In pursuit of self-protection here. Or you might be trying to overlook it for whatever reason. I'm only suggesting it's to protect yourself from, getting to the root of something or having to look too closely at something emotional here for you. But, maybe this has to do with people in your environment, and you're seeing this happening around you. And if that's the case, you'll be able to point this out to somebody else, like if it's a solution for someone else in your environment, or the way that someone is dealing with you. So the 6 of Water, or water is always cups. The element water is the emotions, and here we're looking at a little bit of nostalgia. The curious thing about the 6 of Cups is that it could very well be nostalgia over something that didn't even occur. This is something that there's a nostalgia here for even someone else's fairy tale, so to speak. Do you know what I mean? Someone else's story, someone else's outcome, the story you told yourself 6 months, 6 years, 60 years ago. And it could very well be your story, right? It's something that you feel that you're missing. You feel that you wish you had back. You wish that you could experience again. But as I mentioned, one of the most curious themes around this is that it might not even be your story. And if that's the case, it's a really good opportunity in the month of June for you to assess whether or not this is the story or the outcome, the love story necessarily, or the emotional wellness, etc., that you wanted for yourself, or you expected for yourself, or you dreamed about or fantasized about or whatever, might not ever be available because it's never existed. Now, that's not to say, especially with the King of Fire underneath it, that's not to say you can't go out and co-create this with somebody, okay? This is something that you can co-create. But I think the point of this card for you, especially in this, what's on the surface, like what's obvious, or what should be obvious or could become obvious for you, especially by mid-month, is that what you're pining for here is something that you need to reassess, because it could very well be, let's just say you're on your second marriage or with another boyfriend or girlfriend, or you're suddenly single, or what, relationship status has changed and you're still pining for something that literally doesn't exist. And again, not that you can't go and co-create this with somebody, within a relationship or, within yourself. But I think the most important part of this is to suggest that you come to terms with your emotional state around this relationship or theme or outcome or belief or dream or fantasy. Like you need to come to terms with that emotionally, because it's especially if you want to bring it to life, especially if you want to create it, co-create it, it's important to know what's real and what isn't real. So in saying that, it is followed by the Eight of Cups, and of course the Eight of Cups you can see here, there's someone who's got his or her back turned emotionally here, so you might not be as open or available emotionally to bringing this to fruition. You could, and if you are correct, if you are, for example, if this, I'm nostalgic about something, I know it'll never be, it's not even my fantasy, so I'm going to walk away from this now. This is like your best course of action. That's what I'm seeing here. Like this is going to save you a lot of time and energy. To turn your back on it, right? Like you don't need it. It's not working for you anymore. It could even be holding you up emotionally with regard to accepting what is right in front of you or what's available to you, especially because the Page of Water is underneath this, which is, it's like the communication. It's the communication of love. So it's almost like, let's just say you are aware that this is a fantasy. This is saying in June, you gotta put it on a shelf. You gotta walk away from emotionally what isn't working for you, or what feels like a futile fantasy, or even someone else's dream, or even someone else's fairy tale. Okay, but if it is yours and you're aware of how you could be nostalgic around something that's just probably not going to be, at least not in your near future, or not in your foreseeable future, I think it's in your best interest here to emotionally, turn your back on that, and let's support and enjoy what's right in front of you. And look at this. So following the 8, again, we're looking at infinity numbers here. We're looking at numbers of solidity. It takes 2 4s to make an 8, and of course 4s are the foundational numbers. So there's something that's like, this is a lot of foundation that you would be willing to take somewhere else. A lot of emotional foundation you can now put somewhere else instead of here, which I'm going to suggest is outdated. Even if it's in the relationship you're having right now and you really, really want it and you're really in love, there's something that about this relationship, whether you're having it, you want it, you dream about it, you already had it, whatever it is, that isn't coming to fruition. Turn your back on that part of it, okay? Because here, what's right in front of you is the 8 of fire. Again, we're looking at a really big foundation here, which is a lot of generative, exciting, progressive energy. The 8 of Wands is always about like, you go girl. And if you're a guy watching, like, same thing, you go girl. You know, it's really just about, and again, we're in a different element, right? We're in fire. We're in this sort of like explosive and consuming and sexual and, you know, exciting and just like this type of energy is extremely exciting. And this is in your environment. This is something that's already being played out. So this could be someone in your environment, for example, who's extending their hand of passion to you. Or you'll notice, like, as soon as you let this nostalgia or fantasy life go, for example, or a part of it go that you come to terms with here, you know, you can experience this passion now. You can experience what is already in front of you, what you already have. And again, if you're not coupled, this is happening internally to you or within other relationships, say business partnerships, or in whatever setting, you know, institutional setting, or whatever is most prominent and pressing in your world. But this is really explosive sexual energy. So maybe get rid of the dead weight, the dead emotional weight, enjoy what's right in front of you, and then build on that, okay? Build here with the 3 of Pentacles. You know, you can safely begin building on a new dream, on a new goal, or a new outcome, or even a new fantasy. We do have Earth, so Pentacle energy is a little bit different than water. Water is really the emotions. Pentacle energy is really about building foundations, creating roots, going slow, taking your time, and being meticulous. But it's also in pursuit of something larger than yourself. This could have to do with finances or assets or the physical world in general. And you know, if that's the case, take that for what it is. On the other hand, with regard to this row and the way this energy is going and is complete here, with regard to what is on the surface, I think you'll already know what's underway. Maybe, you know, once this emotional dead weight is gone and you can enjoy what's already in front of you, you can now begin building slowly with a new dream or with a new concept or with a new energy, which is really about, let's go slow. Let's live in the real world together. Let's see what we can build together in pursuit of our dreams and goals. So this is actually quite solid energy here, as opposed to, I would say, maybe, I was going to say flimsy. Maybe not flimsy energy, but kind of, you know, fantasy energy, right? So we've gone from spending a lot of time in our fantasy world to, you know, really getting real with the other person. So let's get into the row of mystery here. This is what's under the surface, underneath it all here. Again, what you're aware of or what you may need to become aware of. So the King of Fire is a passionate card. Here we have our second card of passion. You can probably see even within the artwork. I mean, this guy, and I want to mention as well, there is a sun around his head because there is a spiritual mastery here as well. So you could, by virtue, if we read up and down here, by virtue of you acknowledging this and turning your back on something that isn't working anymore and being willing to be in and with and of the passion and energy and reality that is before you, this will help change everything, really. This is a game changer, right? Because the King of Fire, or Wands, as it were, is the passion. It's the courage. It's the Leo, the Aries, the Sagittarius, either person in your environment, sign if you are a Sagittarius, Leo, or Aries moon or rising, or just strictly the energy, the outcome energy here, which is under the surface. So you do have a lot to gain from walking away from something that isn't working for you any longer on an emotional level here. And it is spiritual advancement. It is having your heart being whole, okay, instead of in pieces. So where is this energy being directed might be another way to put this as well. You know, if you're able to turn off this nostalgic lens, which is a theft, right? Nostalgia is a theft. It's sentimentality is different than nostalgia. Like it's important to be sentimental, I think, about certain things, but if we let sentimentality and nostalgia, themes like that, you know, rule our emotions, it's nearly impossible to enjoy what's right in front of us. So that's why you're being told to walk away from that, so that you can enjoy this energy. You can enjoy who you truly are. And by virtue of that, the person you're sharing your energy with can truly enjoy you at your best. So it behooves you to let things go that aren't working emotionally here, and to build roots in the real world. Here we have the Page of Cups under the 8 of Cups here. So again, as I said, you know, once you're able to set yourself free from something that isn't working, a message of love and commitment and even sensuality and flirtation could become available to you here. Or it could be you giving that message to somebody else. But ultimately, the Page is really saying that there is a message that's available to you from the heart, okay? And whether or not you share that with somebody else, or it's something that's just felt because maybe you can now express yourself truly and freely, you know, once you've come to terms with your whole and complete self here as essential and spiritually advanced and capable and loving and passionate person here, now you can trust that the other person or people in your life can accept this energy from you, a very loving, deeply passionate and sincere person, with messages of sincerity here. So, and I think they'll be well accepted. The reason why is because you're being offered the Ace of Cups, and the Ace of Cups is, you know, it's delicate emotion and wellness in its purest form. And another way to frame this is to say that, you know, this is being handed to you. This is being provided to you after this message. So I'm going to suggest to you, Gemini, that you're going to be able to feel something on a deep level that you haven't felt in a very long time. That's why I think it's important for you to maybe follow this path here, or take heed these messages. Really get to know yourself. Get rid of what isn't working for you energetically, and start enjoying these deep relationships, these deep emotional, you know, themes or processes or beginnings in your life. And, you know, without making any, you don't need to make concessions for that. You don't need to make excuses. There's no harm in it. You can still be a spiritually advanced, intelligent, thorough, respected person. And likewise, the other person you're dealing with, if that's the case, they can be that person while still being open and upfront and honest about who they are emotionally, or about who you are emotionally. So an overflowing cup of emotion is being handed to you here. It could be yours, it could be someone else's. Or energetically, it could just be that something is opening up for you emotionally here. And here with the Ace of Pentacles, right under the 3 of Pentacles here for the outcome of the mystery row, or the underneath, or the unseen, is your second ace. And not only do you have something provided to you from the universe on an emotional level, but anything you've begun here, your Three of Pentacles, where you're laying the roots down, you're beginning something important to you here. This is rooted properly. This is under the auspices of you know, a foundational energy, which is it's rooted, okay? So you don't need to be afraid of making roots or making a commitment. Ultimately, aces are about opportunities. So if we were to read it that way, we could say that, you know, there's an opportunity in your emotional world, and there's an opportunity in the world of possessions and assets and things that, you know, exist in the physical realm. So I see a lot of passion for you this month, frankly, Gemini. Lots of new beginnings here. I think the only caveat is that you have to give up the ghost, whatever that means for you. Give up the, trying not to say useless nostalgia. I mean, obviously it has a use for you, or you believe it has a certain use for you, or you believe that for some reason, sometimes if we cling to things, even if they're not working for us anymore, it's because it's a habit, or we believe it's working for us even though its time is up. So another way to read, you know, King of Fire under the Six of Water is to say that this is far stronger energy than that. You do have it within you to let go of something that isn't working for you. And of course, the Page with the message of love, emotional wellness, commitment, sexuality, maybe even flirtation here, under having walked away from something that wasn't working for you. It's almost like once you get out of, you know, a fantasy world or pretending, it's almost like then you can really experience. It's another way to read it too. There's no twos in this spread, but I am going to suggest that, you know, a decision needs to be made here as well. Like maybe if you just make a decision, doesn't necessarily need to be between two people, but it could be between 2 points of view, or two aspects of yourself, Gemini. Your emotional and intellectual self, for example, or your emotional versus your spiritual self, or your emotional and your sense of sexuality and passion, for example. So it could just be like, you know, two sides of you. So if that's the case, you know, just make a decision around that. Wow, that jumped out. So now we're just getting your oracle cards to polish up the reading for you. Going to get one ideally from each deck here. There we go. Look at that one that comes out. That's funny. Very cool. All right. So your oracle card messages for you are study. So I'm going to relate this here to the King of Fire. I mean, he has a lot of information. Again, this is Aries, Sagittarius, Leo. This is very progressive, what do you call it, like passionate energy. This is the energy of teachers and spiritual leaders, spiritual wellness, living by the heart, leading by the heart, right? Which is not always the same thing as emotions. Sometimes we have emotional attachments even though we know what's best for us. And so I'm going to say, you know, study themes around the King of Fire or the King of Wands, you know, passion, personal development, spiritual development, teaching, and learning, right? All teachers are learners. Students, rather, all students are teachers. So remember that dichotomy. But yeah, study. And even if it is about an emotional theme here and you need to know, for example, how to help yourself out of this situation, you know, look at what other people have done. I think first and foremost, the theme in any healing regimen or you know, environment of healing is to first recognize what it is that needs to be healed. So I think once you learn what that is and come to terms with that, you can move forward progressively here. So study what it is in any one of these themes here that you need to move forward. Here with the Raven, this is the card of magic. I really do think that magic is available to you here. With regard to, you know, transformative magic, another theme behind magic, of course, is alchemy. I think you can really switch things up. These two cards alone in this spread, the Six of Water followed by the Eight of Water here, I think once you're able to let something really old and outdated here and you let it go, I think you can really start living your best life, really getting what you want and need. Maybe even bringing a portion of that fantasy or a level of that fantasy or even nostalgia to life finally. Maybe it's just even about revealing what you need and want from someone else. That could just be all it is here, right? Especially with the message here and a new opportunity here. But magic is afoot. So you don't necessarily have to read into things. You can look at things on the surface and trust your instincts this month. Trust how you instinctively react to things, ideas, people, including you know, following your highest self here. Trust your intuition. And 16 in numerology, of course, is 7, and 7 is magic. So another thing to be on the lookout for when this card arises is to look at themes that are meaningful for you. If butterflies are meaningful and they appear in your environment, take heed. If certain birds like crows or ravens, cardinals, robins, whatever, you know, sterlings, whatever bird, even eagles, depending on where you live, you know, pay attention to birds in your environment. You could learn a lot from them. But yeah, generally here, trust your instincts. Building blocks. Yeah, I see that there's been a stumbling here. There's been something's been holding you back. It's probably in the emotional world here, but you can move forward. You definitely can move forward. You've already built a decent foundation here. And as I said, we have the 2 8s, 2 very highly foundational cards here. So you don't have to knock everything over to go in the direction of your dreams. You merely just have to decide what isn't working for you anymore and then be willing to walk away from that. Be willing to make peace with that and then walk from that. And then your final card is flirt. Extend your lighthearted energy to others. Well, absolutely. And here is closely aligned with the Page of Water. This is a really flirtatious card, right? This is the card that says that we can go about and do that. We can share what we really want with the world. We can share our, you know, emotional flirtation and lighthearted energy here. And it comes from a place of like stability and wellness. So I really see you coming into your own this month. I just think there's an element of giving up the ghost here, and then you can walk freely into the future of your dreams. So Gemini, that is your reading for the month. I really hope that you enjoyed that. Please leave a comment below. Let me know what you think of it, and I look forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks. Until then, bye for now.